Reborn with the octuplet pill, I directly fed it to my husband's factory friend's widow. In my past life, my husband Cade Ron forced me to work hard for Nova Bai and her son for a lifetime. They weren't a couple, but they were closer than one. This time, let's see how you can afford to raise 8 children on your salary alone. Seeing the slogan before me, one child is best, the state will care for the rest, I laughed. I was reborn. Holding the octuplet pill in my hand, turns out it wasn't just a dream. I witnessed with my own eyes how in my past life I toiled my entire existence, only to ultimately devote everything to Nova Bai and her child. Cade Ron loved Nova Bai, although she was the widow of his factory colleague. They had actually been middle school classmates. Later, Nova Bai unexpectedly married someone else, and he was forced into an arranged marriage with me. We spent a lifetime together without children. Because Cade Ron never once touched me, yet Nova Bai, though the child she bore wasn't his, always received his unwavering kindness. I looked at the 8-child pill bestowed upon me by the heavens in my hand. I couldn't let it go to waste. I went home, decisively slaughtered a chicken to make soup, then tossed the 8-child pill into the broth and brought it to Nova Bai. At this point, Nova Bai's child was already a month old. Cade Ron had initially thought I wouldn't be willing to kill a chicken for Nova Bai. She had just been confirmed pregnant, and everyone was worried about her, saying that after her husband's death, they didn't know how she would manage in the future. To avoid gossip, Cade Ron suggested we take her in as our younger sister and let me take care of her. In my past life, I was slapped by him for arguing this chicken shouldn't be killed for her to eat. This lifetime, I just watch him reap what he sows. The fragrant chicken soup was placed before Nova Bai, her eyes filled with greed. Nova Bai didn't even mind the heat. She took the soup, tears welling up in her eyes, looking at me pitifully. Sister Zara, didn't you say none of the chickens at home were for me to eat? Why are you bringing it now? I'm not forcing you. It's just, after the man left, there's really nothing between me and Cade. Cade and I are just middle school classmates. You're his lawful wife. You're the family. I'm just a drifting duckweed, a blade of grass. At this point, Cade Ron grew even more impatient and glared at me. Zara Wei, why are you bringing this now? First, you accused me of having an improper relationship with Nova, and now you're pretending to be the good person. The crowd of co-workers around us chimed in. Exactly, Zara. After how you treated Nova before, who'd believe you're sincere now? You're just trying to make up for it. I didn't explain. Only smiled bitterly. But I still brought it, didn't I? Nova, sis isn't mad at you. I've just come to my senses. Don't worry, I'll take care of you from now on. You should drink this chicken soup while it's hot. Look, I saved both drumsticks for you. You need to nourish yourself. You're carrying a child now. I know I was petty before, and I was wrong. After these words were spoken, the expressions of those around softened slightly, especially Cade Ron's. He stared at me, finally showing a hint of satisfaction in his eyes. Zara Wei, this is acceptable for now, but if you dare to harm Nova, you'll have me to answer to. I lowered my head, pretending to be submissive. Nova Bai picked up the spoon, blew on the chicken soup, and drank it with a smile. She didn't believe for a second that I would dare to poison it. Watching her swallow the soup, a wave of satisfaction washed over me. Eat up, it won't kill you. 8 children in this lifetime. Let's see how you'll raise them all. After delivering the chicken soup, Cade Ron dragged me into the hallway and said coldly, "You're not the kind of person to do this out of kindness. Spit it out. What's your real plan? Before, you called Nova a homewrecker and even threatened to report us to the factory for adultery. Now you're pretending to be a saint." I struggled to hold back my laughter, squeezing out a tear. Can't I have a change of heart? Do bad people have to stay on the same dark path forever? Didn't the great man say, if you make a mistake, correct it, and once corrected, you should be forgiven? I've turned over a new leaf, haven't I? You said she's your sister, so I'm treating her well for the sake of this sister. Isn't that allowed? Cade Ron still didn't believe it. Fine. Then kill a chicken every day from now on and bring it over. If it were my past life, I would have jumped up and scolded him. You don't manage the household, so you don't know the cost of firewood and rice. We only have a dozen or so chickens at home, and they were raised using the factory's quota. Even the eggs have to be handed over. If we kill all the chickens, what will we use to meet the quota? But in this lifetime, I simply nodded. Sure, if you say kill, then we'll kill. I'll also give all my wages to buy her good food. She's pregnant and lost her husband, with no in-laws to take care of her, besides you. Isn't it just me left, as the elder sister-in-law? I'm like a mother. I can even be her mom if needed. Cade Ron's expression finally softened. The co-workers who were listening to the gossip around also changed their tune. That tightwad finally had a change of heart. Exactly, Novabai has it tough. After returning home, I sorted out all of Cade Ron's wages and savings. His house was allocated by the factory. Previously, his savings totaled 382 yuan. And this 382 yuan would later become Novabai's food expenses. I need to eat the chicken at home myself. Novabai and I each get a chicken, and I'll bring her chicken soup for the next few days. Cade Ron returned from the hospital late at night. He looked at me, his eyes unusually gentle. Zara, I didn't mean to be harsh with you today. You know, it's not that I'm treating you poorly, but her husband died because of the factory's business. I have to be a little nicer to her, don't I? Otherwise, the factory workers would be disheartened. I nodded, sneering inwardly. Even if Novabai's husband died due to his own rule-breaking actions, if he insists on saying so, I can't be bothered to argue. As for whether Cade Ron will regret it later, it's none of my damn business. The only thing on my mind right now is how to divorce Cade Ron. He'll inevitably be dragged down by Novabai's bottomless pit. I need to plan my exit strategy sooner rather than later, so, taking advantage of the fact that we haven't completely fallen out yet, I put on my gentlest expression and played the emotional card. Cade, Nova has really had it tough. You two were classmates, so you know how badly her family treated her. She didn't even finish high school. I'm different. At least I graduated high school. Even if I can't go to college now, I can still find a job to support myself. And since we don't have kids, I was thinking, maybe we could plan a divorce. Just hear me out. The moment Cade Ron heard the word divorce, his throat tightened, but then he thought of Novabai and sat back down. I studied his face, there was no denying it. Cade Ron was undeniably handsome. No wonder I'd been so bitter in my past life, feeling like my man had been stolen from me. But now that I think about it, he was never mine to begin with, and I feel relieved. Nova's child will grow up without a father from birth and will surely be called a bastard at school. Wasn't that the case in my past life? The child was mocked every day, called the product of an affair, and eventually dropped out of school due to depression. Cade Ron again felt it was his responsibility to take care of them, so we ended up arguing every day, and in the end, it all became my fault. In this lifetime, whoever wants to endure this suffering can go ahead and do it. I spoke with increasing sincerity. We can wait until the child is about to be born before finalizing the divorce. That way, you can marry Nova right away, and the child can go to school legitimately. Don't worry, I really don't have any ulterior motives. Just look at how I've been behaving these past few days. I genuinely hope you two will be happy, truly. But Cade Ron suddenly darkened his expression. What nonsense are you talking about? There's nothing like that between me and her. If we get divorced, wouldn't that make it seem like we're really having an affair? I quickly explained. No, we can quietly get the divorce papers. I'm only doing this for the sake of Nova's child. This time, I genuinely wish for them to be bound together for life. Later, Novabai was almost 3 months pregnant. Due to the effects of the 8-fetus pill, her belly grew rapidly, as if she were carrying twins. I attended to her like the most dedicated nanny, without a job. I took care of all her needs, whatever she wanted to eat or drink, massaging her swollen feet, tending to her leg cramps in the middle of the night. I handled everything single-handedly. In the hospital, she treated me no differently than a servant. Yet I performed my duties more meticulously and attentively than a professional caregiver. After all, I had served her in my past life as well. In my past life, I must have been unwilling and resentful, but in this life, I will absolutely give my all. How could I not give my all? How could I possibly let their precious baby fail to be born after 8 pregnancies? I will definitely take good care of them. You know, when people do bad things, they don't feel tired. I even got more and more excited as I went along, just waiting for her child to be born. Nova Bai probably never expected that while she intended to use these methods to humiliate me, she clearly wanted to play tricks to degrade me. I ended up performing better than the most professional caregiver. A few elderly patients nearby couldn't stand it anymore and quietly asked me, "Miss, how much do you charge for a day of nursing care?" I just smiled and didn't answer. This instead angered Nova Bai. "What do you mean by that? Would I treat my sister like a servant? She's only taking care of me because she pities me." Those shrewd old folks weren't easily fooled and immediately pointed at her nose, scolding, "Do you really think of her as your sister? Is this how a younger sister should act? The water is already 50 degrees. And you still complain it's too cold and demand it be poured again. Do you want boiling water? Even our old, blurry eyes can't stand to watch." Another old lady added sharply, "Stop pretending to be some innocent white lotus." A grown woman in her 20s, bullying a young girl while pregnant. How shameless. "Pa." I stood to the side, head bowed, stifling my laughter as my shoulders shook uncontrollably. Nova Bai was so angry with me that she burst into tears. "Zara Wei, you just can't stand to see me and the baby doing well." Those factory friends of hers popped up again. "They don't have to work either and just hang around here all day. Sister Zara, why are you bullying Nova again?" "That's right. Nova's pregnant. It's not easy for her. You'll never even get pregnant in your lifetime. Must be all the bad karma you've built up. 3 years with Cade and still nothing." I clenched my fists, my nails digging deep into my palms. Did they really think I was made of clay? I don't have a child because he never touched me. If he never touched me and I could still have such a child, then I must be a goddess, able to bear a child all by myself. Those few people had nothing to say in response to my retort, feeling too embarrassed to speak. Only Nova Bai felt much better upon hearing this. "Sister, I never thought you and Cade really didn't. Cade didn't lie to me." The surrounding elderly women pointed at her nose and scolded, "You shameless woman. So this isn't a caregiver. This is someone else's lawful wife, whom you, a mistress, forcibly dragged over to use as a maid. And you actually think the couple not sharing a bed is proof of your lover's affection for you? His third wheel. You're utterly disgraceful." Nova Bai cried even harder upon hearing this. Cade Ron happened to appear at the scene right then and stepped forward, raising his hand to slap me again. I quickly dodged and then slapped him back. Smack, a sound. Cade Ron looked at me in disbelief. You dare hit me? Didn't he hit me enough in my past life?" I stared at him. Tears streaming down my face too. "So only Nova Bai gets to cry. You want to scold me again? What do you want from me? I've already given her all the food and drinks. What more do you want?" I even waited on her hand and foot, and now she's still over there crying non-stop. She's crying all the good fortune away. "What exactly do you want from me? I'm telling you, I've had enough. I'll divorce you. Go marry her then. Anyway, I'm not a good person. Why do you still want to stay with me? You never loved Nova Bai, right?" Nova Bai pricked up her ears. "I've finally figured it out. Cade Ron is just pure trash. The more I acted like I wanted to be with him, the more he wanted to divorce me. Now that I want a divorce, Cade Ron suddenly doesn't want it anymore." Cade Ron covered his face and looked at me. "You hitting me is justified. I know you're upset. But Nova is truly someone worth taking care of. You have no idea what she's been through." "That's right, I don't know. It's precisely because I know all too well. I was also the only one who investigated the cause of Nova Bai's husband's death. He was drunk and operating under fatigue, which led to the accident. He wanted to steal the finished products from the factory to sell them. That's why he did this. Not reporting it to the superiors is already showing her mercy. If it were reported, Nova Bai would be in big trouble. But I won't say anything. I just want to see these two stay together forever." Cade Ron comforted Nova Bai. "Zara, I won't divorce you. You are my only wife. Nova, and she's just my sister." A group of elderly women spat at him in disgust before walking away from the scene, unable to bear the sight. The drama was just too much. The onlookers from the factory also left. I closed the door and spoke to them calmly. "I genuinely didn't mean to stop you. I just can't go on like this anymore, and it's not because of you, Nova. I think you're wonderful. Look at how you always finish everything I make. Every time Ron eats my cooking, he either says it's too plain, the seasoning's too light, or it's too heavy, thick with oil and sauce, not light and delicious like yours. I've long been tired of cooking for you, Ron, and you're still picky. Who do you think you are? Of course, I wouldn't show my disdain for him openly, because if they knew, they'd be even more reluctant to let me leave. The two fell into thought. Novabai looked moved. Sister, did you really sacrifice yourself just so I could be with Cade? I nodded. Although she is a few years older than me, she is willing to call me sister. So I just went along with it. I pretended to be upset. Why not let me take that position at the factory? She's pregnant now and won't have time for it after giving birth. If you let me go, consider it as using that position to buy out my identity as your wife. Ron didn't even think about it and immediately said no without hesitation. Then he looked at me. I've handed over all my salary to you, my vouchers, stamps, grain coupons, rice coupons, cloth coupons, candy coupons, everything. I can give you anything from my home, but I won't get a divorce. Upon hearing this, Novabai was so eager that she wished she could personally go with me to get the divorce certificate. I'm no fool either. But in the end, won't everything have to be given to Novabai? If that's the case, why don't you just give it directly to Novabai and let her manage this household? All it takes is exchanging one position, and a position only costs a few hundred yuan. Can't you even spare that? I've long grown tired of being the household manager. Being the wife who manages money for such a man is practically helping him allocate funds for his mistresses. Novabai was moved. She looked at Ron and said, "Brother, let's just follow sister's suggestion. She's right. If we don't do this, what will happen to my child in the future? I don't want my child to grow up without a father. I'm afraid that if we don't get married, we won't be able to stay together anymore. Please think about it for my sake." Ron refused. "I can give you the position, but I won't agree to a divorce." The smile on Novabai's face faded. In the end, Ron decided to give me the position but still refused to divorce. In my past life, I fought tooth and nail for this position. But what about Ron? He didn't even acknowledge me, no matter what I said. In the end, the position still went to Novabai. Now that position is mine, and of course I'm overjoyed, but I have even bigger goals. Another perk of that position is getting to know the genius scientist who's been visiting the factory these days. Peisu had studied abroad in the Soviet Union. He spoke German, French, and English, mastering 3 languages. And he particularly admired diligent and studious individuals. In my past life, Novabai actually wanted to be with him, but he refused because Novabai already had a child, even though I was the one helping raise that child. Thinking back, I feel like I was out of my mind in that lifetime. Later, he never married his entire life. Back then, I was too busy arguing with Ron. Now, I have a new goal. Without this man, I'll just move on to the next one, and I'll find someone better than Ron. Call me whatever you want. In this life I'm just a bad woman, and I'm going to live better than every single one of them. At night, Ron came home. He seemed to have been drinking, staggering over to try and hug me. I pushed him away. Being drunk is just an excuse. If someone were truly wasted, they'd already be unconscious. He's just using drunkenness as an excuse to do some shameful things. I looked at him. I've already done what you wanted me to do. I know you might think I'm trying to use some other tricks to win your heart back, and I am. I just want you to treat Novabai badly. Do you really think I have any good intentions? Let me tell you, once I start working at the company and have money, I'll make sure you can't leave me. Understand? My words were sarcastic. But what I really thought was, once I'm at the company, who says you'll have a say? If I get that permanent position, I'm definitely running off with another man. You betrayed me like that in my past life, and you expect me to still be devoted to you. I'm not a fool. If you repay kindness with resentment, what will you use to repay kindness? If someone treats me so well, yet I can only return the same level of goodness to a terrible person, then I must truly be sick. Ron seemed to feel much better upon hearing this. Good, don't forget what you said. You still have me in your heart. I lied without hesitation. Of course, you're in my heart. Who else would I be with if not you? Is there any man better than you? I just feel like Novabai stole you away. It's my own pettiness." Hearing this, he felt much better, but I wouldn't cater to him like I used to. Every time he got drunk before, he would just collapse right where he was. Who would want to touch him? He reeked horribly, and I had to clean his filthy face while he vomited everywhere. Later, I'd have to go dig up sand myself to bury all that disgusting mess. Now I just push him aside and go take a shower myself. He lies on the ground. Turns out he was either faking drunkenness before or just too lazy to clean up after himself, leaving it all to me. I'm not serving him anymore. Let's see what he can do about it. The next day, I pretended not to notice the strange smells and cooked as usual, delivering the meals to Nova by as I should. I take my job very seriously. Since you've given me such a great position, serving you is my way of returning the favor. Besides, I don't feel that just because we're married, he owes me anything. It's his choice if he doesn't want to treat me well. It's not like being married means his assets must be shared with me. We just got a marriage certificate. It's not like I'm trying to seize his entire fortune with it. I'm not that greedy. Nova Bai has stopped causing trouble now. She's terrified that any misstep might make Cade Ron refuse to divorce her. She's 5 months pregnant. Looking as big as a typical woman about to give birth, she's afraid I might change my mind about the divorce. How would she raise the child in her belly then? She just cautiously probed me. "Sister, when do you plan to get the divorce certificate? It seems it's not that you're unwilling. It's Cade Ron who's refusing now. Can you talk to him?" Cade Ron appeared before me with reddened eyes. "Still wearing the same dirty, smelly clothes from yesterday. Why didn't you change my clothes for me? You're Nova Bai's future man now. I can't touch another woman's man." I sneered. "Are you crazy? If you were still my man, of course I could touch you. But now you're ready to abandon me. You've even traded me for a job transfer. What more do you want?" Cade Ron fell silent. Nova Bai, heavily pregnant, tried to kneel and beg him, but I stopped her, seeing Nova Bai like this. Cade Ron had no choice. I forcibly dragged him and Nova Bai to the Civil Affairs Bureau to stamp their divorce papers. A few days later, it was time to start the new job. I've slaughtered the last chicken at home, and all the money was spent on buying new chickens to raise. I've prepared all the daily necessities like firewood, rice, oil, and salt, and without asking for anything else, I went straight to the factory to report for duty. After signing the contract at the HR department, I officially became an employee of the factory. The best part was that the person assigned to guide me was none other than the scientist Peisu, and I became Peisu's assistant. I don't know anything. When Peisu saw me, he was visibly irritated. "It's obvious what the factory arranged for you to do here, and you know it too. Don't get any ideas." I nodded. "Don't worry, absolutely not." After saying that, I grinned at him. He seemed a bit more curious. "Who sent you here?" "I'm divorced." "Don't worry, I have no other intentions towards you." Peisu seemed to let down his guard. Seeing how quickly I got the hang of the job, he gradually changed his opinion of me and even became quite satisfied. To be honest, he really isn't married. He's a golden bachelor. He heard everything about my situation with Cade Ron, and after learning how Cade Ron treated me, his eyes filled with a bit more pity. I truly needed his sympathy. After all, pity for someone is the beginning of love. One late night, he was calculating data while I kept him company. Peisu suddenly asked, "Do you regret the divorce? What do you think? I now have a formal position with a monthly salary of 30 yuan, plus a dormitory assigned by the factory, although it's a shared room for 2. At least I don't have to live with someone who dislikes me anymore." I continued talking to myself, and most importantly, I no longer have to serve Nova Bai. Before, I had to attend to her every day after work. And it became the talk of the factory. Though those gossipy women never said it to my face, I could always hear their whispers when I came and went. I've grown thick-skinned. After being betrayed by a man once, I figured it out. As long as I have money and a job, why care what others say? Just do your job well. "And who can bring you down?" I shrugged. "Once you let go, everything falls into place. In my past life, I just couldn't let go. My mind was too rigid." Insisting on arguing with a man over trivial matters, Peisu seemed to be meeting someone like me for the first time. "You're really interesting, MPH, isn't that obvious?" I deliberately acted so independent and strong-willed. "Wasn't it all to catch your attention?" How could I not be interesting? In this life, because I lived in the factory dormitory, I devoted myself wholeheartedly to my work. In my previous life, I had never been exposed to this job and didn't even know the basics of data statistics. Peisu taught me step by step. Through our collaboration, he saved a lot of tedious calculation work, and I also gained real skills. Later on, we became almost inseparable every minute and every second. To be honest, when two people of the opposite sex spend every day together, even 2 piles of dung would ferment over time, let alone living, breathing humans. I have a strikingly beautiful appearance. Naturally resembling a femme fatale, my reputation in the factory is far from good. They all believe someone like Nova Bai, pure and innocent, is the ideal woman, while someone like me is bound to cheat sooner or later. I noticed that Peisu detests women who try to seduce him at work. So I focused wholeheartedly on my job. Unexpectedly, this made him recognize my strengths, and the more we interacted, the more he came to appreciate me. Nova Bai's due date is approaching, at just 8 months. Her belly was already twice the size of an average pregnant woman's, even 1.5 times larger than that of a woman carrying twins. The thin layer of skin stretched over it was said to be quite terrifying to behold. Cadron finally came knocking. Taking care of Nova Bai during this period had left him utterly exhausted. When are you coming home? Didn't we agree to remarry? I raised an eyebrow. Aren't you still together? She hasn't even given birth yet. What? Now you want me to go and wait on her during labor? I sneered. You're already legally married. She's your wife. What does that have to do with me? Seeing me turn cold and deny everything, Cadron fumed with anger. Didn't you say you'd still be with me? Who is this guy? Since he'd been busy taking care of the pregnant woman, he'd hardly come to the factory at all. So naturally, he didn't recognize Peisu. I lifted my chin smugly. Oh, don't recognize him. He's the new scientist here. Way more impressive than your mechanic job. He specializes in improving the very machines you repair. The factory really values Peisu, and I've learned a lot from him. Next, I'll probably be transferred with him to a better unit. I deliberately smiled brightly. Don't worry. My life is really, really good now. The more I said this, the uglier Cadron's expression became. He stared at me intently. Are you doing this to me to get back at me? I quickly shook my head, my tone light. What nonsense are you talking about? Me, get back at you? That's ridiculous. Peisu stepped forward at the right moment, shielding me. Sir, please stay away from my assistant. You're already divorced. Stop harassing her. After that, Peisu paused and added meaningfully, Assistant Zara Wei and I share the same aspirations. If we get married in the future, we'll definitely invite you to the wedding banquet. Cadron was so angry he wanted to throw hands, but Peisu kicked him back with one swift move. Peisu, standing at a towering 9 meters tall, combined with my excellent cooking skills, can now take on 10 Cadrons at once. Looking at Cadron, who used to beat me without hesitation in my past life, now in such a miserable state, I felt an overwhelming sense of satisfaction. I stepped forward and gave him a couple more kicks. Get lost. Go home and take good care of your wife and kids. Didn't you get a marriage certificate? Did you really think it'd be that easy to obtain? Back then, you refused to divorce me no matter what. Weren't you just afraid you'd have to take care of the child now? Go on, be the sucker you are. Just as I was speaking, 2 people suddenly ran over from the factory. Cadron. Hurry, Nova is going into labor. Peisu and I followed the crowd to see the commotion. Upon arriving at the hospital, the doctors were stunned. 1, 2, 3. In the end, they delivered 8 tiny, red, mouse-like baby boys. Cadron fainted on the spot, and Nova Bai also broke down. How can there be so many? Impossible. These definitely aren't my children. She shook her head frantically, as if gone mad. During the prenatal checkups, the doctor kept saying it was twins. She thought she'd have 3 at most, but who knew she'd end up giving birth to 8 all at once? I completely understand the look Nova Bai gave the unconscious Cadron. It was the look of a mother willing to do anything for her children. Cadron is done for this lifetime. 8 kids are more than enough to keep him busy. Ha 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 ha, heaven has eyes. Peisu hugged me tightly. Don't be afraid. We'll just have 1 daughter in the future. He was clearly frightened by the scene. That very day, he went out to buy baby magazines and deliberately tore out the pages featuring boys, keeping only the photos of girls to paste on the wall. The next day, he dragged me to file our marriage report, insisting we get our marriage certificate immediately. Let's hurry and have a child, or I won't feel at ease. The following days were filled with endless spectacle. As the entire county came to watch the drama unfold, the factory was abuzz with gossip. Have you heard? Novabai got into another fight. The 8 children bit her nipples until they bled. Now she's crying and begging to buy a few goats to nurse them. But the appetites of those 8 children are just too big. Cade Ron's meager salary can't possibly cover it. They come to the factory every other day to borrow money from people. We had no choice but to lend them a few dollars each to send them away. But everyone knows that this small amount is just a drop in the bucket for them. Peisu and I would laugh our heads off every time we heard about these things. Who would have thought that the 2 people who made my life so miserable in my past life would now be suffering worse than death from raising 8 children in this one? Truly, what goes around comes around. Peisu has nearly completed his research at this factory and is preparing to transfer out, taking me with him. He is a scientist, and his spouse's job was also arranged by the institute, with the spouse also having a permanent position. I followed him into the system, and our marriage report was quickly approved. A new life began soon after, leaving behind Cade Ron and Nova Bai. It felt like I was starting a whole new life. I was originally clueless about these subjects like math and science, but in the new environment, once I grasped one concept, everything else fell into place. I quickly reached the level of an average scientist. Of course, I couldn't compare to Peisu, but I was already very satisfied. My partnership with him just keeps getting better and better. It wasn't until the 2nd year of our marriage that we had our first child. She was a beautiful girl, and we decided not to have any more children after her. When our child turned 2, I received a letter from my best friend, which detailed nothing more than the experiences Nova Bai and Cade Ron had gone through over the years. I heard that with those 8 children of his, Cade Ron suffered terribly just from breastfeeding them when they were little, because each child needed to be fed, and they all got hungry at the same time, cried at the same time, needed to sleep at the same time, and woke up at the same time. Clothes and diapers had to be washed 8 times. His hands were practically peeling from all the washing. After marriage, Nova Bai didn't do anything. She was too drained from childbirth, so all the work fell on Cade Ron. Cade Ron didn't just have to wash diapers, he also had to wipe the bottoms of all 8 kids. That needs 8 wipes at once. Those nails, each person has 20 nails, and with his 8 kids, that's 160 nails. Plus, kids' nails are especially hard to trim. He's really suffering. The suffering was endless. In my past life, all that was my job. Now, watching it just cracks me up. Beside me, Peisu saw me laughing so hard and patted me, saying, "You little rascal, tch, mind your own business. It's not like it's hurting you." He hugged me. "Isn't it just because I'm afraid my little troublemaker won't enjoy it enough? I'll buy you a ticket. Want to go see for yourself?" "No way I'm going. Get lost. Take the kid with you. You're the dad here." Because taking care of someone else's child in my past life left me with psychological scars. Even though I adore daughters, I just don't want to take care of her. Let my husband handle it. Peisu is very obedient. He's absolutely amazing with kids. So reliable, truly living up to being her dad. The kid has been with us since she was little, learning nothing in particular. Anyway, we don't teach her academic knowledge because that stuff is useless at such a young age. Besides, childhood is mainly about developing habits. When we focus on letting her do something, we never interrupt her. If she wants to take an hour to poop, we won't stop her. Kids will grow up at their own pace. They'll learn when they want to. Don't force her. You need to entice her instead. The more you discourage her from learning, telling her it's something only good and smart kids do, the more she'll want to learn. You really have to approach it with the mindset of not wanting her to study. Treat learning as a reward, and only then will the child truly see it as one. Anyway, that's just how our family's education style is, and gradually Pei Lily became extremely fond of studying. Pei Lily is an especially adorable little girl, and she's also incredibly smart. I hardly had to take care of her or attend to her much. In my past life, taking care of that son Nova Bai was absolute torture. He wouldn't go to school, didn't want to read, and had no interest in studying. After taking care of a child once, I never wanted to do it that way again. In my past life, I truly treated them as my own, believing it was entirely my fault if the child didn't study. Looking back now, that was completely the wrong approach to education. I didn't know any better at the time. It was my first time being a mother. Now, with our second child, Lily, she's naturally eager to learn. She's just born to study, with even more mathematical talent than her father. On the contrary, our family's Pei Su praised her as a once-in-a-century math genius, and later, at the age of 16, she was admitted to the Gifted Youth program and left. Only then did I have the mood to go back to that factory with Pei Su to take a look. Goodness, as soon as we entered the factory, we were shocked by what we found out when we asked around. Everyone around there knew Nova Bai and Cade Ron's family without exception. Cade Ron really made his life worthwhile. Everyone around him knows he's the father of 8 children, and none of them are his own. Every time he says he wants a divorce and drags Nova Bai to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Nova Bai threatens to kill herself to stop him from going. Look at him now, starving and skin and bones. A tall guy at 6 feet, my God, weighing less than 100 pounds. I heard his kids are also starving. Every day when they're hungry, they beat him up at home, leaving him bruised and battered. But he still has to go to work the next day. All 8 children want their father's position, but there's only one spot to fill. Wouldn't that tear the whole family apart? The same goes for their mother's position. It can't be given to anyone, so she just keeps doing it. They're quite amusing. Only then did we learn about the hardships Nova and Cade Ron have faced over these years, with so many children, each wanting to work but no positions available. It doesn't matter. They can just leave. All these years, even putting food on the table has been a struggle, let alone anything else. Reading books goes without saying, but do paper and pens cost nothing? Their family doesn't even have money for meals, let alone for education. None of those 8 children amounted to anything, and what's more, they all had ridiculously high standards, looking down on ordinary people while convinced they'd soar to greatness someday, exactly like that kid I raised in my past life. So it wasn't that I raised them wrong. The roots were rotten to begin with. In my past life, I took care of Nova Bai's child. That was truly suffering. I don't even want to recall how it was back then. All I can say is, thank goodness I don't have to serve them again in this lifetime. The more I smiled with delight, the more curious Pei Su became. How can you be so wicked? Seeing him miserable makes you happy, doesn't it? Me, don't you already know? I've told you about everything I've been through these years. How utterly wretched I was. How I finally managed to get married, only for that man to fall for someone else. Can't I at least enjoy this moment now? My ex-husband is having a hard time now, and I couldn't be happier. Let me tell you, I'm that kind of person. The worse the people I dislike are doing, the happier I am. So you better not make me dislike you. You must never betray me. You have to treat me well for the rest of your life. Understand, I'm very, very skilled at handling men who love me. I don't care, I just have to keep an eye on my current partner. He treats me so well right now. And there's no way I'm letting any man or woman take him away from me. I want him to stay with me for the rest of his life. Pei Su is the same. He feels the same way about me. He's terrified that one day I might take a liking to another man. We two are really birds of a feather. When we arrived at Cade Ron's doorstep, they were still in the dormitory. You can imagine how uncomfortable that house must have been, crammed with so many people. After we walked in, Nova Bai couldn't help but show a hint of envy when she saw Pei Su and me. Sister Zara, how do you stay so young and beautiful? Nova Bai wasn't as leisurely as in her past life, being a noble lady who looked both elegant and beautiful. She's old now, so old she looks like a 60-year-old granny, with hair that's both white and yellow, giving her an especially aged appearance. She could have once been described as a delicate beauty, but now she's like a withered old vegetable leaf. Looking at her, I couldn't help but laugh, completely unable to suppress that smug sense of petty triumph. Nova, it seems life hasn't treated you well these years, but now that your child is grown, already 18, soon they'll go out to work, get you a few daughters-in-law, give you some grandsons and granddaughters. Then your life will be complete. I'm not like you. I only have one daughter, precious as a jewel, but my daughter is very strong-willed, she's studying hard now. Even went to university. I can't count on her in this lifetime, not like you. Your child is still by your side, you've got plenty to look forward to. Ha ha ha, saying these things makes me feel like a wicked female villain, but damn, it feels good. Hearing this, Nova Bai's eyes darkened. His 8 sons looked at me with unease too, because I was dressed well, my man looked wealthy, and the better our family thrived, the more they dared not offend us, in my past life. Nova Bai's children didn't respect me at all, they treated me like his servant, but now those 8 kids are practically fawning over us, thinking we're rich and scrambling to curry favor. They even asked if we'd consider adopting one since we don't have a son. Who wants these unlucky people, of course. We won't say a word, just get a sense of how things have been these years and then prepare to run. Nova Bai has been living really, really badly. When Ron saw me with Pei-Su, he still wanted to come up and hit me, but by then his height had already shrunk from 1.8 meters to 1.7 meters. I looked at his confused face and teased him with a smirk. Are you really Ron? Not his dad? Oh my, yes. Your lives are so miserable now that I almost feel like donating some money out of pity, but I know you probably wouldn't want my charity. Don't worry, things will only get better from now on. Look how big your child has grown. Good fortune is surely on its way. After so many years of hardship, it's about time for sweet rewards. Nova Bai sneered upon hearing this. Just you wait, sister. 30 years east of the river, 30 years west. Don't mock the youth for their poverty. Those deadbeats are calling themselves impoverished youth now. I nodded without speaking and turned to leave. In the following years, Pei-Su and I continued to work hard on the front lines, as researchers. Even though we're getting older and our mental agility isn't what it used to be, or sometimes our thinking isn't as quick and flexible as the younger generations, we still have our experience, right? We worked in coordination with those young people, and since our daughter had joined as well, we trained her to take over our roles. After retirement, when we wanted to travel to see the beautiful landscapes, we realized, oh, we've ended up back at the factory where I used to work. The Ron family is still living a very, very miserable life. Those 8 sons started dreaming, each wanting to marry a noblewoman. They shamelessly tried to force the issue, but after being beaten and thrown out, they wouldn't even settle for ordinary girls who wanted to marry them, one by one. They all wasted their time until they were in their 20s and 30s. Look at them. I find it hilarious. In my past life, Nova Bai's son tortured me like this. And now it's finally their own parents' turn to suffer. Let's see how long their youthful poverty lasts. My daughter, it seems she didn't choose romance. She's with another girl now, calling her bestie every day. We don't really know, but it sure looks like they're dating. It doesn't matter anymore. Whatever our daughter likes is fine. As long as Pei-Su and I still love each other, that's enough. If it's true love for our daughter, then that's all that matters. In this lifetime, I've traveled all over the country, fulfilled my personal values, and raised our daughter to be outstanding. I don't care how he fares in the future, even if the floods rise to the heavens. Truly, up until the moment I close my eyes, I've lived this life with complete peace of mind. Before I die, I heard about Ron and Nova Bai all these years, how none of her 8 sons turned out filial, and later, when they finally found wives, all 8 sons sided with their wives to bully the 2 of them. In the end, none of them could inherit the jobs because they were all fighting over them. Eventually, they just sold the jobs and split the money, but their lives only went downhill from there. They had already been tormented to death long ago. No wonder there's been no news of them all these years. Turns out they didn't live as long as we did. Knowing my enemies suffered so miserably and died so early, I'm satisfied. Whatever, this life of mine has been worth it.